Today, the Tour du Pont stays in Richmond, Virginia. Tomorrow, the 1,000 miles race ends in Washington. Can LeMond take it now? Hello again, everybody. I'm Phil Liggett, and welcome to our final day's coverage of the Tour du Pont this year on ESPN. The race itself, of course, going to its finish in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. We're now in Richmond, Virginia, and on this penultimate day of the race, we're facing up to a 75 miles road race, 20 laps of a 4-mile circuit. There'll be great crowds, and we should see some great racing. Shortly, we'll show you exactly how Greg LeMond has come the leader of this Tour du Pont, which started in Wilmington a week last Thursday. But it wasn't just Greg LeMond who was the big talking point of this race last night when the riders finished here from their long ride down from Stony Creek. In fact, Phil Anderson taking out the stage ahead of Davis Phinney. But later on, it was discovered that Phinney had been involved in a contretemps with the big Dutch rider Michel Zanoli. Let's have a look at that first. Nobody knew of the problems that would follow this sprint finish. Davis Phinney in the lead here, his nose actually bleeding at the time. Phil Anderson was on his wheel on the right of our picture. Anderson moves off Phinney's wheel and takes his third stage win. Davis Phinney, though, his face was a picture we didn't want to see.
He fucking punched me right into that corner to get me off of Phil's wheel. Right, like boom, in the face.
And even Greg LeMond didn't believe what he was seeing here when Davis Phinney came up. The man they blamed, Michel Zanoli, the Dutchman. Jim Ockovitz explains Zanoli's position to Brian Drebber.
Basically, Michel had three choices, or basically had two choices, and created his own option at the end. He was protecting Phil's wheel and trying to set up for the sprint, and Davis wanted that wheel. And so there was contact. And Michel had a choice of either he and Davis both crashing and taking other riders down or backing out of the position. Michael chose a third option, which was to make contact with Davis with his fist. So that was not the right decision for Michael to take.
And so the result was Michel Zanoli disqualified from the Tour du Pont with 2 days to go, and I'm afraid he's now already on his way home. The 1992 Tour du Pont is being brought to you by DuPont and by the beautiful state of Virginia and by the Homestead Resort and Spa. We'll be back when the race continues here in Richmond, Virginia. The crowds are great. And welcome back to the Tour du Pont. This is the scene for the penultimate stage of the race here in Richmond, Virginia. You know, if Phil Anderson was to win this stage, then he would take a 10 seconds time bonus. This would be the situation on Sunday in Washington. It would be Phil Anderson in the race lead by the narrowest of margins, about 100th of a second. That is the situation. Three men virtually on the same time. But this morning, the man in the yellow jersey is Greg LeMond, chatting here with the manager of the United States amateur team, Chris Carmichael, himself a no mean bike rider in his day either. LeMond very, very happy indeed. Well, let's have a look back now and see just how Greg LeMond came to be the leader of this race. It all started a week last Thursday in Wilmington, Delaware, the opening prologue time trial. It was a cold, windy evening. And by the time Greg LeMond came to the finish with the best time of the evening, everybody knew this rider had come home to the United States to take this race on by the scruff of the neck for the first time in his career. So Greg LeMond, wearing the yellow jersey next day, still in the streets of Wilmington. Then bad luck hit him. He flatted in the back tyre. And this cost him 20 seconds, and with it, the race lead. It swung across to the Coors Light team and to the British rider, Dave Mann. So Greg LeMond, in yellow, was very soon out of it. So attention then was diverted to the next big stage of this race, and that was stage 8 on the long hill up to the Wintergreen Resort. This is where we saw the strength of Greg LeMond's Z team. First of all, Terry Clavarola, in the far side of our picture, eased away into the lead at Le Volsval, the man we thought would have been the race leader by the end of this stage. Volsval for a while stayed away. He was joined and beaten later by Herbert Niederberger. Then Terry Clavarola dropped back to pick up his team captain, Greg LeMond, and nursed him all the way to the top, where Greg LeMond became the leader. This is Phil Anderson this morning.
getting ready for today's race and trying to put the controversy of yesterday's finish behind him. Perhaps he is thinking back to the success that he has had in the 1992 Tour du Pont. Stage 5 from Hershey, Chocolate Town to Hagerstown, Maryland. Bill Anderson looking back, ponytail flying, and he pedals his way across the finish line, going away. The two behind him, Scott McKinley of Spago and Steve Haig, didn't even have a chance as Bill Anderson picked up his first stage win of this year's events. Stage 7, again, Phil Anderson. This time, though, it's Greg LeMond, the Z team, leading out the sprint behind the motorcycle. Anderson poised back there, now moves into second spot with young Bobby Julich on his wheel. This stage had started in Harrisonburg and finishes at the beautiful Homestead in Hot Springs. Anderson, with a bigger gear than everybody else, motors his way across the line ahead of Bobby Julich and Greg LeMond to take his second stage win of this year's race. Stage 9 yesterday, Wintergreen to Richmond, a downhill race, an uphill sprint. Davis Finney leading it out with a grimacing Phil Anderson on his wheel. And as they came to the line, it was Finney trying to hold off the charging Australian, but with a slick slingshot move, Phil Anderson scoring his third stage win of this tour and a double win in the Richmond finish. Phil Anderson climbing inexorably from the bottom of the list to the top. 96th place all the way to third overall. What a charge.
Coming from behind, the underdog, pulled back quite a bit of time so far this week, but I'll do my best. I'm not really putting too much pressure on myself for the stage today because thinking about tomorrow now.
I got to win this race in the time trial, and if I try to risk everything for the time bonuses, I could lose the whole race too. So I'm better off playing it safe and then going for it in the time trial. If I lose it and he beats me in the time trial, then that's the way it goes. But I got to finish the race to win it.
The Coors Light Racing Team, last year's team overall champions, Mike Engelman and Steven Swart standing by, team leader Len Pettyjohn.
Well, I think the Coors Light team did a phenomenal job. I mean, we're really pleased with our performance, and we're not done yet. Davis has been second twice. I mean, we've had 3 second places in this race. We won the second stage, and Davis fell off his bike once on his own accord. He should have won yesterday. He was gagging on the blood in the last 100 meters. He couldn't breathe. Normally, that's a sprint that Davis always wins. So he is super motivated today, and if you're going to put bets down, if it's a field finish, Davis will win today.
Team USA, led by El Toro de Tejas, the Bull of Texas, Lance Armstrong, a youngster when he came to this sport out of triathlon. And, well, maybe there's the next Lance Armstrong. Bobby Julich, this young man, 5th overall in last year's race, has done a terrific job in the race for his leader, Lance Armstrong.
I think overall, as far as the team goes, we're doing very well. I mean, we have 3 in the top 15. I don't think there's too many other pro teams that are doing it well. And right now we're sitting 5th on Team GC. So right now things are going very well. And as far as preparation for the trials and the Olympic Games, we can't ask for anything better.
And a real treat in store for bike fans in Richmond today because it's a circuit race on a near 4-mile circuit staying right in downtown Richmond. This is a very difficult stage. The official distance is being billed at 75 miles. The riders are saying it's nearer 100 miles, and I think they're right. It's a very difficult course, and the field looks as though they're going to have a real good day out in town. Let's hope that the grey skies do not destroy the race and give us a deluge of rain like it did after yesterday's stage finished. So, Brian, they're underway.
Indeed, and on this Richmond circuit race, the fans will get a great treat because the riders come through here a number of times, and the riders also get a bit of a way to look at each other because there are 2 places on the course where it passes back and forth. Once on the bridge across the James River, a second time on Main Street just before the start-finish line.
And what a super crowd, packing all the vantage points here to see this spectacle in town on totally closed roads, and that's a tribute to the town and the police for doing such a marvellous job. The first attack of the day, it looks like we've got Frank McCormack for the IME, a team that is trying to put their name on the map in this race at last.
3 McCormacks on the IME team, Frank, his brother Mark, and, well, a cousin that they call Paul McCormack.